You ever walked into a place and instantly knew something was off? Before you saw anyone? Before you heard a sound? Before you had any logical reason to feel the way you did? Your body just knew. And chances are, someone told you were overreacting, that it was all in your head, that it didn't make any sense. I'm here to show you that it actually makes sense, that neuroscience has confirmed what your body has always known, and that Carl Jung mapped this phenomenon over 100 years ago. In June of 2025, the Huberman Lab released an episode about the brain-body connection that revealed something most people have never heard of. It's called interoception, the ability of your brain to sense and interpret internal signals from your body. Heartbeat, muscle tension, nervous system activation. Huberman explained that this ability isn't just about knowing when you're hungry or tired. It forms the foundation of how you relate to the world around you. But here's what Huberman didn't say directly, and what I'm about to reveal. Jung had already described this in 1921. In his book, Psychological Types, Jung differentiated between two ways of perceiving reality: sensation, which uses the traditional five senses, and intuition, which perceives without using conventional sensory organs. Jung said that intuitive people arrive at understandings without having tangible evidence to support their perceptions. And he called these people seers, mystics, or psychics. Hold on. Because science is now proving that Jung was right. When you enter an environment, your body starts processing information even before your conscious mind realizes it. Your autonomic nervous system detects subtle signals, changes in temperature, air quality, sound vibrations below the conscious threshold, pheromones and other chemical compounds, patterns of light and shadow. All of this is processed in milliseconds and translated into physical sensations. And it's the vagus nerve that does this translation. Huberman explained in detail how the vagus nerve connects your brain to your internal organs: heart, gut, lungs. This nerve doesn't just carry commands from the brain to the body, it also carries information from the body to the brain, and much more information goes up than goes down. 80% of the fibers in the vagus nerve are afferent, meaning they carry information from the body to the brain. This means your body is constantly sending data to your brain about the environment, and your brain is constantly interpreting that data. The question is whether you pay attention or not. Keep that in mind. It'll make sense in a few minutes. Jung wrote about what he called psychic energy. He didn't see this energy as something supernatural. He saw it as a real motivational force that flows between people and environments. Jung even dined regularly with Einstein in the 1910s. They discussed physics and psychology, and later Jung collaborated for 20 years with Wolfgang Pauli, one of the founders of quantum physics. Together, they developed the theory of synchronicity. Synchronicity is the meaningful coincidence between an internal event and an external event. And here's the connection to feeling the energy of spaces. When you walk into an environment and feel something, this is exactly what's happening. An internal event, the sensation in your body, coincides meaningfully with an external event, the energetic quality of that space. But why do you feel it and other people don't? The answer lies in interoception. Huberman explained that the capacity for interoception varies dramatically between people. Some people have high interoception. They perceive subtle changes in heart rate, breathing, muscle tension. Other people have low interoception. They might be extremely stressed and not realize it until their body collapses. People with high interoception are the ones who feel the energy of spaces, because their bodies are constantly picking up signals from the environment, and their brains are constantly translating those signals into conscious sensations. This isn't magic. It's neurology. Jung would say that these people have a highly developed intuitive function, the ability to perceive what's not on the surface, to pick up information that the traditional five senses don't consciously register. And he was right. The difference is that now we have brain scanners to prove it. Neuroimaging studies show that people with high interoception have greater activation in the insula. The insula is the part of the brain responsible for integrating bodily signals with consciousness. The more active your insula, the more you feel what's happening around you. And the more you feel, the more information you have to make decisions. Remember when I told you to keep in mind the information about the 80% of fibers in the vagus nerve? Here's why it matters. If 80% of the communication goes from the body to the brain, that means your body is constantly informing your brain about the environment. Your heart speeds up a little when you walk into a tense place. Your gut clenches slightly when something is wrong. Your muscles tighten when there's danger. All of this happens automatically, unconsciously, before any rational thought. Jung called this body knowing. He believed that the body stores wisdom that the conscious mind doesn't have direct access to. And he was right. The enteric nervous system, what scientists call the second brain in the gut, has more than 500 million neurons. It processes information independently of the main brain, and it reacts to environmental stimuli in ways that neuroscience is still beginning to understand. Now comes the part that will change how you see this ability. You've probably spent your life being discredited when you talked about feeling the energy of spaces. Maybe you've learned to ignore these sensations, to dismiss them as imagination, to pretend you didn't feel anything so you wouldn't seem weird. That's a mistake that neuroscience is finally correcting. Huberman explained that people who trust their interoception make better decisions because they have access to a layer of information that other people ignore. They're not being irrational, they're being more rational because they're using more data. Data that comes from the body, data that comes from the environment, data that most people simply don't perceive. Jung went even further. He said that the intuitive function, when well developed, allows you to access the collective unconscious, the pool of shared experiences and patterns by all of humanity. When you walk into a place and feel that something terrible happened there, you may be picking up energetic residues that transcend your personal experience. Archetypal patterns of pain, fear, joy, the sacred. That sounds mystical, right? But neuroscience is starting to lend credibility. Studies on epigenetics show that traumatic experiences can be genetically transmitted. Rats conditioned to fear a specific scent passed that fear onto their offspring. Offspring who'd never been exposed to the scent, but reacted with fear. If that happens across generations, why not in physical spaces? Places where intense events happened may retain some form of information, not necessarily supernatural, but maybe physics, in ways we don't yet fully understand. Electromagnetic fields, chemical compounds, acoustic patterns, something that sensitive bodies pick up on and interpret as energy. And here's the protocol. Combining Jung and Huberman to develop this ability. First, increase conscious interoception. Huberman recommends practices that focus attention on bodily signals, meditation focused on your heartbeat, conscious breathing exercises, mindfulness of physical sensations. The more you practice noticing your body, the more sensitive you become to the signals it sends. Second, trust before you rationalize. When you walk into a place and feel something, don't immediately dismiss it. Register the sensation. Note where in your body you're feeling it. Only then analyze it rationally. Jung called this giving space to the unconscious before imposing the conscious. Third, validate retrospectively. After some time has passed, go back and see if your initial sensation was correct. Did you feel something strange at a party and later find out there was a fight? Did you feel peace in a house and discover that it belonged to genuinely loving people? Each validation strengthens your confidence in your ability. Fourth, use the Jungian technique of active imagination. When you're in a place and feel a strong energy, close your eyes for a few seconds, internally ask, what is this sensation trying to tell you? Let images, words, or sensations emerge. This isn't hallucination. It's access to the unconscious processing that's already happening. Fifth, regulate your nervous system after intense exposures. Huberman teaches that the physiological sigh, 2 short inhales through the nose, followed by a long exhale through the mouth, activates the parasympathetic nervous system. After being in a place with heavy energy, Use this technique to reset your system. This is the point where most people stop. But I'm going further. The ability to feel the energy of places isn't just a curiosity. It's an evolutionary tool. Our ancestors, who could sense danger in a place before entering, survived more often. They passed on their genes over millions of years. This ability was refined, and it's still in you. The problem is, modern life has desensitized most people. Artificial lights, constant sounds, uninterrupted digital stimulation. All this overloads the nervous system and diminishes the ability to perceive subtle signals. The most sensitive people, paradoxically, suffer more in this environment. But they're also the ones who retain the ability that others have lost. Jung wrote that humanity is losing contact with deep layers of the psyche, that modern life disconnects us from the unconscious, and that this has serious consequences: neuroses, anxiety, a sensation of emptiness, loss of meaning. When you repeatedly ignore what your body knows, you create an internal conflict, a division between what you feel and what you allow yourself to feel. Huberman has confirmed this neurologically. People with low interoception have more difficulty regulating emotions, are more likely to experience anxiety and depression, and have a reduced ability to make good decisions. The body-mind connection isn't optional. It's fundamental to mental health. So when you feel the energy of a place, you're not being weird, you're being human, totally human. The way we were designed to be, before modern life disconnected us. If you felt something listening to these words, YouTube has that golden heart down there, the super thanks. When a person who feels recognizes another person who feels. Through this gesture, something happens. It's not just financial support. It's recognition. It's a way of saying, I feel what you feel too. I also know this is real. Every super thanks strengthens the network of people who trust what their bodies know. Now I'm going to give you the final pieces. Research shows that environments affect the nervous system in measurable ways. Hospitals increase cortisol. Nature decreases it. Sacred spaces alter brainwaves. Places where bad things happened activate stress responses. Even in people who don't know the history, something in the environment carries information, and your body reads that information. Jung spoke about what he called the psychic atmosphere, the energetic quality that permeates a space. He believed that this atmosphere was real, that it influenced whoever entered it, and that sensitive people could perceive it consciously, while others were affected without realizing it. The difference between you and someone who doesn't feel isn't that you're wrong, it's that you're more connected, more in tune with reality, more able to perceive what's really happening. 30% of the population is considered highly sensitive. These people process stimuli more deeply. They feel more, they perceive more, and they're often the ones who report feeling the energy of places. This isn't coincidence, it's neurology. More sensitive brains pick up more information, and that information translates into sensations that other people don't experience. The challenge isn't to stop feeling. The challenge is to learn to regulate, to use this ability as a tool instead of being overwhelmed by it, to trust what your body knows without being paralyzed by every intense sensation. Jung went through this. He was extremely sensitive. He felt things that others didn't. And for a time, it almost destroyed him. His famous psychological crisis of 1913 was partly because he felt too much, without knowing how to process it. But when he learned to work with that sensitivity, instead of fighting against it, it became his greatest strength, the foundation of all his work. You don't need to be afraid of what you feel. You need to learn how to use it. Every place carries history, carries energy, carries information, and your body was built to pick up that information. When you honor that ability, when you trust it, when you develop it, you become more complete, more connected, more you. Neuroscience has confirmed what Jung knew a century ago, and what your body has always known. Feeling the energy of places isn't imagination. It's perception. Perception of a layer of reality that most people have lost access to. The question is, what are you going to do with it? Do you trust what your body feels? Or do you disbelieve yourself? You ever walked into a place and instantly knew something was off? Chills, maybe. Or just this undeniable feeling in the pit of your stomach? Well, I want you to tell me about it. Share a time in the comments when you felt the energy of a place before you even walked in, and then discovered you were right. I'm talking about that gut feeling, that instinct. Maybe you walked into a house party and immediately sensed tension, only to find out later there had been a huge argument right before you arrived. Or maybe you visited a historic site and felt an overwhelming sense of peace or sadness. That resonated with events that happened there centuries ago. These experiences are more common than we think, and they highlight the power of our intuition and our ability to pick up on subtle cues. So, drop your stories in the comments below. I'm really curious to hear about your experiences with sensing the energy of places.